So you want to do plastic surgery, but haven't decided on a doctor yet? Have no idea where to start? You came to the right place. So first of all, hi, I'm Zaz. I am in the field of plastic surgery for now 20 years. Can you believe it? I can't. It went by in a whim. So if you're wondering, who is she and why does she think she knows everything about plastic surgery? Because I had 7 of them already, not even including lasers, chemical peels, skin boosters, Botox, whatnot, that would come easily to 30. So anyway, yeah, I would say I definitely have the experience. All of my friends always come to me and ask me for help to choose a doctor. Some of you did on one of my old videos on my other channel. I have a travel channel where I usually talk about plastic surgery abroad, especially in Thailand, because that's my second home. And I've done a few surgeries and procedures such as skin boosters, Botox, and CO2 laser. I've started really early to do research, even though back then it was pretty hard. Now it's super easy, but still I want to guide you through this journey because it's one of my favorite topics in the world. So yeah, whatever questions you have, always drop them in the comments down below. Yeah, let's start. So on the last video that I posted, the CO2 laser journey in Bangkok, Thailand, many of you have asked how I chose this doctor. So I just wanted to give you a little rundown how I choose my doctors, what I think is important to look at when you choose a doctor, what are red flags, what are green flags, and yeah, how to develop this feeling of, okay, I can trust this person with my life and my skin. The life one is obviously more important. So I keep telling everyone, do your research. If I see one of you saying, I booked an appointment with a surgeon just because he's close by, I'm gonna make you rewatch all of my videos and then you can come back and we talk again. So where do we start? Obviously, you start with research and more research. Just to give you an example, my average research duration for any procedure, unless it's Botox and something small, but any surgery is approximately 2 years. Because just simply for the fact, because technology changes a lot, trends change, prices change. So I can only tell you, do as much research as you can, because it is really important. And if it's a surgery, your life depends on it. I know no one wants to hear that. It is still a surgery. Risks are always there, can be life-threatening, and you cannot be botched, which is, after the D word, of course, the worst case scenario. No one wants that. One of my goals after teaching you how to do proper research for yourself and maybe your friends is to make you surgery smart. Just to give you an example of what I mean by surgery smart. So I have a few friends who see an offer online, usually on Instagram, because I mean, everyone is doing paid ads now for their clinic, for their services, for yeah, their own brand as a person, as a doctor, basically. And they always say like, wow, I only paid $150 for my lip fillers. So all the alarm bells in my head are going off, because I learned from one of my friends who is a doctor. She's a plastic surgeon in Korea, but also operates in Thailand and in Japan. And she shared me the list of what she purchases for her clinic, which is fillers, Botox, skin boosters, whatnot. And none of the items there were under $120, which means if someone is selling you lip fillers for $150, it cannot be something really good. So either, what I noticed a lot, and this is what happens in Korea a lot, is that they dilute the product, which means if you get Botox for $17, is an offer that I actually saw a while ago, it's going to last you 2 weeks because it's watered down and not the actual thing. But if you used to do some research, for example, and you know that Nabota, for example, is sold everywhere for approximately $75 for 3 areas. This is what I got done in Bangkok last year and this year. And as you can see, I did it 3 months ago and it's still going strong. I paid $75, and here I would have paid $250 for a similar product. Like Dysport, for example, is even more expensive, but if you have normal Botox, then it would have cost me like $250. So that's why I go to Thailand, but that's a whole different video. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. This is my first video. I'm trying to make everything short, but yeah, this is all new to me. In short, what I wanted to tell you is basically don't get fooled by price only. Look at the pictures, ask around, look at the models before and after. Is anything edited? Do the people who advertise it for these dumping prices, do they have a license? This is the most important, but let me run through my whole process here, what you have to pay attention to, and then, yeah, hopefully you know everything you need to know, how to choose a doctor. Okay, now I'm telling you something that you probably don't want to hear, but if you want to find a good surgeon and have a good result, you have to put in the work. Yeah, it's not going to be a one-day research thing unless it's a small procedure, but if it's considering cutting your face, in the middle of your face, scar-related, everything, you have to put in the work. I'm here to help if you really don't know where to start or who is the best in his field for facelifts, for lip lifts, for upper bleph, lower bleph, hair transplant, job, anything. Just let me know and I'll help you. I love doing that, so I don't mind. So just let me know in the comments or send me a DM. But it is a lot of work if you want a good result. Choosing a surgeon is not as easy as choosing your nail tech, because obviously if you have your nails ruined, you maybe cry for like 2 weeks until they're off. But if someone botches your face, you're gonna cry every time you look in the mirror, which can also have a mental toll on you. So that's another topic I need to make you aware of. So each surgery has risks, so better put in the work beforehand than after. And also, not knowing doesn't mean it cannot be avoided. So you should know every single detail. You have to become a professional researcher and the master of each topic and each procedure. It's taking a lot of time, but it's worth it because, I mean, it's your life, it's your face, and your mental health. Another thing I like to tell everyone who's asking me for surgery or doctor advice is to not only look for a surgeon who does the procedure, but look for a visionary. Look for someone who has a distinct style, you know, like someone who you can tell, oh wow, these are the scars done by Dr. X. This is the eye shape done by this person. Because every doctor or surgeon trained for this procedure, which means they can do it, but can they do it well? And if someone is teaching others, especially if they're teaching them for free, let them shadow them for free, that is always a green flag. I know many doctors who do that, but I also know doctors who charge for that, which, I mean, it's up to everyone, but if they are teaching others and not charging for it, these are the signs that you need to look for. You need to have someone who knows facial anatomy, who knows what will suit you well, especially when it comes to lip lifts, noses, eye shapes, for example. There are many doctors who do one fits all. You don't want that. Like your nose, for example, is unique and your outcome is unique. It should fit your face. If you say, okay, I want a Megan Fox nose, maybe it doesn't suit you, so you need someone who will tell you it doesn't, even if you might not want to hear it, but they should always suggest something else that will look better on you, and they should not convince you to stick to your plan. Like, unless you're really stubborn, some doctors just say, yes, I'll do it because you really want it, but I would advise that you don't do it. So again, where would I start? The first thing is, of course, what procedure do you want to get done? Is there a doctor or even a country that is specialized in it? Yeah, so for example, you have Korean facelifts, you have Asian lip technique, which is very different from Western beauty standards. So first you have to decide, where do you want to go? And then who is your doctor over there who can do it best? Also, of course, then it comes down to what is your budget? Have you planned for everything afterwards, like aftercare? Are you going alone? Do you need a nurse? Do you need a surgery buddy? Are your flights covered? What in case of emergency? Yeah, all of these things. So the list is long. As you can see, it's taking a lot. But again, let me know what else you need to know, or if you're preparing for a surgery trip abroad, like me. I have one planned again next month. I'm so excited, but I'm also scared as hell. So yeah, stay tuned and give me a follow if you want to know what's my next surgery and with who. One thing I also have to mention is research got so much easier, especially because you have all of these amazing plastic surgery communities where people actually support you, share their experience, their risks, their outcomes, positive reviews, negative reviews. You can find anything if you just know where to look. So now we're starting with number 1, the Facebook groups. Here you also have to experiment a bit because there are so many groups. So for example, if you would like to get your nose done, you can find the country that you shortlisted. So for example, I would go to Turkey, so I would search on Facebook, rhinoplasty in Turkey. Yeah? Or you go on Reddit and say plastic surgery, Turkey, rhinoplasty Turkey, best rhinoplasty surgeons in Turkey or Istanbul or Antalya, whatever, because even there are many differences. But this is the first thing I would do. And of course, my holy grail is Reddit. I like Reddit because it's very anonymous, so many people don't have anything to lose. And people are very open as well, even more than on Facebook. I feel on Facebook you have more the lurkers who are just looking, okay, who did the surgery with this doctor? But on Reddit, actually, you have people who love to share things. They also ask for advice. They post their face beforehand and say, what kind of procedure do you recommend? And people actually answer. Sometimes doctors answer, sometimes people who had the procedures answer, sometimes just experts leave their opinion. So it is really great, even if you're not sure what you would like to get done or if you need anything done. Many people are super honest there and they're like, girl, don't do it. Like, you don't need it. Maybe do something else. Save your money. I love this community. So that would be my go-to. And there, for example, you have a subreddit called plastic surgery or surgery in Turkey, in Thailand, whatnot. Like, you will find almost anything. Also on Reddit, another benefit is that you have many subreddits. So there's one for plastic surgery abroad, plastic surgery travel, plastic surgery body, help, everything. So just do a bit of research. Again, take your time, browse all of them. Sometimes they link in between each other, so you can just go on a rabbit hole and dive in, find all the information that you need. If you're like me, I have ADD, so I'm really great and obsessed with research. That's why I love it so much. But what I'm not good at is to keep the information. So I always have an Excel list because sometimes I go in circles and just think, oh, I've seen this post already. Why again did I not want to do surgery with this doctor? And then I go on Facebook again and see like many botched reviews, for example, or negative Google reviews. And I'm like, okay, I remember. So I always make either a PowerPoint or an Excel sheet, put the doctor's name down and the reason why I excluded them from my personal list of doctors that I want to have surgery with. Put the reason, and if you keep forgetting everything like me, then also put the link so you don't have to research it again and again. Another holy grail of research, which is a bit hard to find, are the WhatsApp groups for each surgeon. So I had a client recently who was asking me to find a good surgeon in Istanbul for her, for a nose job. And there's so many WhatsApp groups, but they're really hard to find. So how I found most of them is either on Reddit, where someone was so kind to link them. Then I also reached out to some people who posted about their surgery in either Reddit or on Facebook. So you see, it's a lot of manual work, but if you're dedicated, it's actually fun and it's really worth it. So some of the people replied to me, sent me the link, then I was able to join myself and do a bit more research, because in these WhatsApp groups, you can find a lot of information. The only downside is that you cannot see what has been posted before. So almost every day or every 2 days you have someone new join asking the same questions. So you have to be really patient, because sometimes you don't get information quickly. As you can see, again, it's a long journey, but worth it. For example, you say, oh, did anyone have an experience with Dr. XYZ? I'm considering surgery with him. Some people post the nose and say, oh, is this the right person for me? Do you have any experience? Some people, they just post in the group immediately, or they post privately. They send you a DM and say, oh, this is my result. I can recommend him because, I don't recommend him because. Yeah, so this is what I recommend. But it's a bit tricky to find. But once you're in, you will see everything. So yeah, these groups are really fun, but also sometimes depressing, because there are many anxious people in there. who just have questions, and you can tell they did not do any research and they just want others to do the research. I'm telling you again, don't be lazy, do it yourself, come prepared. It's also a green flag for the surgeon if you come prepared, because they hear the same questions every single day. Of course, they should never mind, but you can get way more out of your consultation if you come prepared. And don't ask, when will my swelling go down? When can I eat this? When can I work out? You can Google this. Yeah, so leave your surgeon alone and just ask the important questions that are very personal to your case. Like, for example, I have a deviated septum. I want to breathe better. What do I have to do? Or I'm taking this medication. Can I take it? No. You know, like personalized things, which makes his life easier and yours as well. And it's usually just a Google search away. Where I usually start my research is on Instagram, because I'm a victim of loving aesthetic pictures and I'm obsessed. Like my whole feed literally is Shiba Inus and surgery results. But the thing is, nowadays, many people fake stuff. Now with AI, it's easier than ever. So you always have to look for proper before and after pictures. Look for unedited stuff. Also, this is a bit tricky, train yourself how to spot different lighting, because many people, they just post the before picture in a darker light and the after in a brighter light, so the skin looks better, like more flat. Like for example, if you see here, you can see like I have this, you know, need to get it done soon anyway, but now that I'm a bit further away, you can't see it as well. You know what I mean? If I would have a ring light just shining into my face, like my skin would look so even, and then you'd be fooled and think I'm 12. So, I just remembered something else. If you cannot find some pictures on their Instagram, for example, directly, check the tagged posts, because some people, they are not shy and they share the results, and sometimes they tag the surgeon, and then if you are happy with how they look, reach out, ask them for their experience. How was the post-op care? How was the follow-up? How did they feel during the whole process? Was there any red flag? Was there anything that was amazing? Did they have a unique experience? How was it with the deposit? All of these things, like just ask. And usually, as many people know the struggle of how hard it is to find a surgeon and to go through with the surgery, they are more than happy to help you. So yeah, that's another thing I can recommend you. If you can't find any unedited pictures on the doctor's Instagram, red flag. You should always ask. Usually, most of them have it on websites. If you're in Europe, maybe not so much because of all the laws, but at least at the latest stage, you should be able to see some in your consultation. Some doctors are sweet and they show you the pictures they took on their phone, you know, of real cases for the checkups. Everyone has it on their phone nowadays, if it's not on the website, but ideally it should be. Then, where you can also see before and after pictures that are usually unedited, is Real Self. It's another page that I really like. So you can see honest reviews, you can see the specialty. Also, what is always a green flag in a doctor is if someone asks a question and they answer it. Yeah, very general. For example, you do hair transplants and someone is like, oh, my hair is now really coarse. Is this normal? And a doctor who didn't even do the procedure replies with their knowledge. This is always a green flag, and I love seeing that. It is extra work, but it is helpful for everyone. And I really like the people who invest in this. Despite their busy schedule, they still want to help out people. It's really nice. I like seeing that. So I would be more inclined to go to that person who gives other people advice, although he was not the person who did the surgery on you. Okay, let's get into the series bit. I have my phone here because I cannot remember all of these, but they are very important. So you want to look for board certified plastic surgeons, because there's a huge difference if you get, for example, your nose done by an ENT who's only focusing on breathing, but won't care, or usually doesn't care about the outcome. Of course, you have some exceptions, but many just do what they are trained to do. So you want to make sure that they're registered with different boards. Yeah, that's why board certification. So you have many. For example, in the US, you have the American Board of Plastic Surgery. Then you have the American Board of Facial Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery. That is also a good point, because if you have a reconstructive surgeon, they have seen a lot of difficult cases, and they usually can make botched cases look good afterwards. Like, so to a certain extent, of course, but they're usually really great. So if you have a complex case or you're not sure, I would always see multiple surgeons with different specialties and then just decide which one is best for you. If you're in Europe, it's the same thing, but you have so many different boards that you have to check. So you have European board certifications, plastic surgery registrations, you have some for Canada, Australia, for Middle East, for Asia, everything. So again, do your research. I'm trying to link a few pages below, because usually if the doctor is board certified, you can easily look up his name, her name, and then have a look if they're really certified. I'm saying really certified because what I've noticed is that many doctors or clinics are trying to BS us, which is a bit unfair, because if you don't know, that's why you're here. Thank you very much again for watching. I hope you find it informative so far. They use vague titles like cosmetic surgeon or aesthetic physician. What does that mean? This is not board certification. This is just some title that sounds fancy to most of us. Like even me in the beginning when I just started, I was like, oh, as soon as it says cosmetic surgeon or plastic surgeon, then it must be good. But for example, if they are not board certified, that might mean that they haven't finished their board certification, or maybe didn't even succeed in trying, which is also not a green flag. So yeah, just be aware about that. So for example, you have to know the difference if they're board certified, or if, for example, their profile says member of the American Academy of Cosmetic Surgery. So it sounds fancy, but it's not a board certification, so you have to learn the difference. Again, it's a lot of work, it takes time, but if you want me to check a certain doctor if they're board certified, just drop them in the comments and I'll have a little search for you. What's also nice to see is that some doctors have their CV on their website. So for example here, if I have my checklist, check their name on the official board's website. So for the ABPS or the GMC or the EBOPRAS in Europe. Or you can ask them directly. Oh, this happened to one of my friends here. She contacted a surgeon for a BA, let's say. I'm not sure if this is going to be censored here. And basically, she asked if the doctor is board certified. And it's like, yes, he's registered in Australia. And he said, okay, I didn't ask if he's registered, but is he board certified? And they're like, what do you mean? So, you know, like they tried to get around, and she was like, oh my God, this is such a red flag. And then, yeah, later it turned out that he actually didn't have a license to do plastic surgery because he was specialized in something else. So yeah, it's dodgy. Open your eyes, be careful, be mindful, and yeah, ask as many questions as you want. No doctor who is good and cares about you will ever mind. Even if you ask 50 questions, 100 questions in one consultation, they should never mind, especially not if it's about their proper education. Another good way to find out if the doctor is good and professional is to have a look at the clinic where they operate. Is it a reputable clinic? Is it a private clinic? Is it a dodgy backyard clinic with a ring light? So yeah, if you know if it's a real hospital with real staff, emergency facilities ideally, or like even if it's a private clinic, they should always have like a place for emergencies, have their own nurses there, because many doctors, they just rent clinics or surgery rooms. So that's what you pay extra for. You pay the anesthesia fee, and then you pay the doctor fee, and then usually a clinic fee as well, because they don't have one on their own, but still they should make sure that you have proper aftercare, a nurse on call, at least for the first, depending on your surgery, 8 hours, I would say, sometimes overnight, depends if you have drainages or something. So there's a lot to pay attention to. So a few more things that you need to add to your checklist before surgery is, for example, when you go abroad, do you have any language barriers? Do they offer a translator service? Do you have to bring your own? There are many different services, but it would always be great if the clinic themselves offer this kind of service. They usually do, for example, in Thailand or Korea, but I've also heard that many clinics just say, okay, yes, we have an English speaker, and then their English isn't really that advanced, especially not in the plastic surgery terms. So it can be lost in translation. and maybe they will not completely understand your result that you want to achieve. So be aware, maybe bring your own, screen a few people. Again, double check on Reddit or in the groups if someone has a recommendation, or I don't know, if you have a friend, for example, that you can take. Google Translate won't cut it, because even then it can not be completely accurate. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Also, what's always a green flag, and this happened, for example, with the clinic that I booked with in October. So I have a surgery coordinator who is just replying to me. They have a few, but it's nice to always speak to the same person. They start to get to know you. You feel really well connected to them. They're very attentive. They message back quickly, which is always a good sign. If they don't reply to you for like 2 weeks and then say, oh, here's the payment link, absolute red flag, don't do it. So, but anyway, these people, or this clinic, was amazing. So I'm going to Miami for my surgery. I've never been there before. They sent me a whole list of hotels. They sent me a few contacts, I think it was 4 or 5, of different nurses with different specialties. So, for example, if you were to get a facelift, there's one specialized in that. If you have a nose job, then they're specialized in this. They sent me which medications I have to buy beforehand so I can prepare. They sent me an anesthesia form where I have to indicate what kind of medication I'm taking, if I'm on any sort of GLP-1, for example, because this can also affect the anesthesia. For example, if you are on Ozempic, Mounjaro, one of these, you have to fast longer than the usual 8 hours that they recommend, because your metabolism is a bit slower, so your stomach takes longer to digest food. So sometimes they recommend 12 hours or even longer. So you have to be aware of that, and always be honest. Don't hide anything, even if it's awkward. They will ask, what kind of surgeries did you have before? Do you have allergies? Have you ever had a reaction to anesthesia? Yeah, they will also guide you what kind of anesthesia is good for you. For example, for me, I have 2 procedures planned, and I saw on their Instagram many of the girls, like, seriously, you are warriors. I don't know how you do it, but some of them, they just agreed to local anesthesia, and I was like, oh, for me, it would be basically cheaper, because I would pass out anyway when someone's like doing stuff to my face and I can almost see it still. Maybe I will not feel anything, but I'm still aware that something is being done, and I would just simply pass out. So I don't know how you guys do it, but kudos to you. I could never do that. But yeah, anyway, so that's why I'm getting general anesthesia. It's a bit more expensive. Also, because we couldn't do it in the clinic, we have to get like a different room for that. Then anesthesia practitioner. So yeah, just be aware that depending on that, the cost will also increase. And that brings me to my next topic. Don't just focus on the cost. As I said, like, many clinics offer super low prices, which doesn't mean they want more people to have surgery, but that means either they don't have the proper qualification, or they need to take any client that they can get. That's why they have such low prices. Just be aware, because they are saving the money at one point, and usually it's something where you don't want to save on. Yeah, like, I don't know, either it's the material or it's the experience of the doctor that they charge less for. So less is not more in this case, more is more. So yeah. But again, if you don't have the budget to get your nose done in Los Angeles, which is now an incredible $22,000 on average, is what I researched. It's insane. It's like almost double than 2 years ago. So yeah, that's why I understand many of you would like to go to Asia, like Korea or Thailand or Turkey, which is a fraction of the cost. But then again, you have travel cost, hotel, aftercare, nurse. Maybe you have to cover the flight for your friend or the hotel for them. Yeah, just be aware of that. But please don't just go for the price. This is also something that you should research, for example, on Reddit or the Facebook groups, is how is the aftercare of the doctor, especially, or if they have a nurse team, how are they? Because I wanted to get my nose done with a surgeon in Turkey, and I was really obsessed with his work. Like, his behavior was really nice online, like his results were great, the price was fine back then, now not anymore, it's insane. Even Turkey got like, the prices exploded, so it's not what it was anymore, but there's still options. Anyway, so when I dug in, first he was on one of the BOTCHED lists. You will see, while you do your research, there are these things called BOTCHED list, which basically almost every doctor that you can imagine is on this list, because they have at least 1 botched cases. And just to give you, like, to put this into perspective, is if someone has 10 botched cases and they only do 50 per year, like 50 surgeries per year, which is like 1 a week, for example, if they just start out, this is super high. But for some, I mean, everyone is human, everyone has some errors, everyone does mistakes. Of course, we want to avoid that as good as we can. But for example, this doctor does, on average, I think they said 3,000 surgeries per year, which is insane. That's why I didn't go there, because I don't want to be one of 8 to 10 people per day, because this guy must be exhausted after 3 cases. So anyway, this is why I didn't go. And he had a botched rate of like 14%, which, if you put this into perspective, is a lot of people, but still pretty low if you see how many people he operates on. But anyway, where was I going with this is that this guy was also flagged for his bedside manner. As soon as he did the surgery on you, many girls said, he didn't even show up the next day or after surgery to tell me everything was fine. He didn't look at the result, and he was not even there for cast off to see if the result actually turned out to be nice. So this is a huge, 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 huge red flag. Even if many people are happy, if someone tells me the doctor is not seeing me after my surgery, after performing the work that he's famous for, this guy is not for me. Many people are okay with that, especially if you come from abroad and if you're happy with your result. But imagine if you're not. You need to tell someone, and you need to tell this to the creator, like to who did the work, yeah? Who did your nose or your face or your stomach or whatnot. Like, this is an absolute no-go for me, so yeah, just be aware and just research for that. Another tip I can give you is to research every single doctor and put the name botched behind, or scandal. This is how I found out about many of the doctors that I shortlisted, that they actually have a lawsuit against them. They botched a lot of people, some celebrities, some even lost their license as well and are still performing. For example, they are maybe not operating anymore, but still doing Botox on some people. So yeah, this is another hack I can give you. That usually gives you results, even sometimes if you don't want to hear it, but just protect yourself. And I think the universe has your back. So if you find something negative, see it as a sign and move on, find another doctor. So lastly, I have a little checklist for you, what you need to keep in mind. What are red flags? What are green flags? So for example, if they show you unedited results on their real self, on their website, that is an absolute green flag. However, if you don't find any, you should be aware, and then even worse, if you ask for them, they refuse to send it to you. For some countries, I can understand because it's the law, they cannot show you anything, but at least in your consultation, you should be presented the actual real results, how the healing went for many people, how the scars healed, like anything basically, and just keep asking questions. Like, never let them throw you off or dismiss you if you have questions. That is an absolute red flag. Another issue that I've seen, especially with my client who was asking me to help her find a surgeon in Turkey, is that many clinics try to pressure you to book fast. They're like, oh my God, this is the last slot for the next 3 months. But then a few days later on the Instagram story, they say, oh, we have the following slots available. So, you know, they were just BSing you again. So don't fall for that. Take your time. As I said, for me, I've spoken to so many doctors before I settled on the doctor that I'm seeing next month. They never pressured me. Also, it's a good sign if they're fully booked, usually, and still make time, you know, to talk to you. For some doctors abroad, you can send videos or pictures up front. They will say, okay, yes, I can help you. No, I cannot. That's always a good sign. But yeah, never let them dismiss you, and don't get blinded by fake results. Another huge red flag is if they don't ask for medical clearance. So usually in every surgery, unless, you know, it's like Botox and minimally invasive procedures, they will ask you for blood work. Yeah, they need to see, okay, are you pregnant? What kind of medications do you take? Do you have high blood pressure? Do you have any allergies? Do you have enough, I'm not sure what it's called in English, but like blood platelets? I don't know. So you can heal properly, you know, or that you're not anemic, something like that. They need to check all of this, and usually they ask you to submit this 4 to 5 weeks before the surgery, because then this happened to me once. My vitamin D was too low, so I had to take supplements so that until the day of surgery, my levels are okay. And then on the day or one day before the surgery, they checked again and everything was fine, and then they were able to go ahead with the surgery. So yeah, if they are not asking for that, don't go there. Coming to the green flags now is, of course, if they offer online consultations before you fly there. Let's just assume you're planning to go abroad. So, because what I'm not a fan of is that they say, oh yeah, you will see the doctor on the day of your surgery. Well, yeah, but you invested, I don't know, $5,000 to fly there for your hotel. Maybe you took someone, paid for them too. You're nerve wrack, because, I mean, it's a serious thing that you go there. You have to have at least one kind of contact with the surgeon before actually going there. Yeah, so they should offer it on their own. The procedure should be clear. Like, for example, for me, for next month, I had a consultation. They asked me, do you want to see the doctor and talk to him? It's like $300. I happily paid that. So he had a look at my pictures and my video, and he said, okay, we can do this procedure. However, I need to decide if, because I asked for a few things, if all of these procedures are necessary. I will let you know in our face-to-face consultation. Now, when I go there, my surgery is on a Tuesday. On Monday, I'm scheduled for a 1-hour consultation with the doctor. Then I can ask all my questions. He will explain all the risks to me. Although I did my research, so I know most of them already. I have my very specific questions lined up, which is not when is my swelling gonna go down, or when can I go party again? Actually, I have a festival where I really want to go, and it's only 3 weeks afterwards. So yeah, let's see what he says. But yeah, this is basically it. And then again, I just said it earlier, but if they have a strong support system, so they have nurses on call, the doctor gives you his WhatsApp, her WhatsApp, or the surgery coordinator. If they say here, in case of emergencies, you can call there. This is really nice, and this makes me feel very secure, because I am so scared already. I'm not sure yet if I will go alone. Probably I will. I'm going to document the whole thing. So yeah, follow me if you're curious. I will also tell you in the next video how I skipped the 4-year waiting list of this doctor. It's insane. Like, I was so lucky, actually. But yeah, there's a way how you can go around. But yeah, sometimes you cannot avoid it unless you're Kris Jenner and pay $200,000 extra just to be the next one on the list, like with the doctor where she got her facelift done. Usually he charges like 120 to 150K now at this point. But she paid 320 because she wanted it done ASAP, and he's like fully booked for the next 5 years. So that is one option, but it's unfortunately not accessible for normal people like us, but there are options. So if you are loaded, then congratulations. Lastly, another good sign is that people are raving about this doctor. You can see there's a trend, like, for example, if you didn't do much research yet, but the doctor keeps coming up on TikTok, for example, or you see the name popping up on Reddit, in Facebook groups, this is always a good sign. But then again, don't forget to type in the name, put scandal or botched or risks or review or something like this behind on Google, Reddit, and Facebook. And then, of course, double check real self. So yeah, I would say this is it for now. Sorry this video got so long, but I have a lot to say and to share. I hope you don't mind. If any question is still unanswered, please write them in the comments or drop me a DM. I will link everything in the caption below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you soon.